Okay, everyone, good evening. My apologies for the late start. I ran in here because there was no break in between. What can I say? It's been a day, so I apologize. Kara, the co-chair, she will be out today. So once again, listen to me. Sorry. So there are a lot of new faces around the table. I'm Dawn Hirsch-Burns. I'm one of the chairs of CCAP. We all have our names in front of us, and it also indicates what type of member we are. So this way you can take a look at that as we go around. I'm going to get started with the mission statement and the welcome, and then we will probably need to make a motion to accept our new members. So I'll do that in the chairperson comments. CCAP works together to put children first. The committee focuses on open and honest communication, improving effectiveness and accountability, identifying systemic issues, and advocating for appropriate resources. In collaboration with Frederick County Public Schools leadership of special education, parents, FCPS staff, and community members, the committee strives to facilitate positive changes in the delivery of special education services and the success and achievements of students with disabilities. So I would like to just quickly welcome our new members, and if you can introduce yourselves to the group. So I'm just going to start right here.
I'm Dorothea Morton, and I live in Woodsboro, and my first night, I'm here as a parent.
I'm Deanna Lucky. I live in Point Rocks. This is my first time.
Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer Bassett. I have 2 mainstream kids and 2 special needs children that attend Frederick County, and I'm here as a parent.
Hi everyone, my name is Angie Brown. I'm a clinical social worker, and I'm here representing CAS. For those who don't know what that is, CAS coordinators are stationed at every high school in the feeder schools that they represent. It stands for Community Agency School Services.
Oh, John Chamb, I'm a community member. I know I'm not new, what I'm gonna do.
And yes, we haven't met you in person yet.
Yes, this is my first time in person, but my name is Drew Purish. I go to Urbana High School. I'm a senior now, and I'm one of the members.
And we have our second Partners for Success.
Yes, my name is Issa Grenier, and I have been here for a month, almost a month now. So I'm excited to be here.
It does not appear that we have anyone for public comment, so we'll move past that. And then I'm going to make a motion to accept our new members for CCAP. Do we have a second? You are officially members of CCAP. We have to vote? Do we have to? Okay, all in favor? Yeah, I know, I appreciate it, because it's hard to meet some people. Okay, so I'm gonna start with chairperson comments. First, I wanna say that our presentation to the board back on November 9th, which seems like a lifetime away now, it went really well. I wanna give a special shout out to Jake. He was incredible. And I felt like I didn't even really need to be there. He brought tears to some of the members' eyes. It was just a really great speech that he wrote, and I had the opportunity to meet his parents, and they are as equally lovely as Jake is. So you did them proud, Jake. You did me proud too. And then, let's see, the next piece was, student voice group. So one of the things coming from us having Jake be one of the voices at the table is consideration for an ad hoc student voice group to try to get more students involved in the county and get the word out about being student members to CCAC, as well as finding out what the students really think. As I pointed out in the presentation, the voice that was missing from that extremely large undertaking of an audit was student voice. There were statements from parents in there were statements from staff in there, but there weren't any information or quotes directly from students, and I think that that is what is missing. So I just want to see if there is any energy around that, if anybody would be interested in being on that, and just maybe starting with 1 or 2 high schools, getting the word out there. I see the Partners for Success going like this, so we'll take that as a yes. Jake is giving me a thumbs up, which is good since he's a student member.
Hey,
I love working with students, so I have no problem joining.
I'd like to be part of it.
Okay, did you get all those names?
Nope.
Okay, David. Rachel. How do you spell your first name again? I-S-A. Jake. And, yeah, I don't want to. And me. You got me? Okay. So just to make sure we have it right, David, Rachel, Isa, did I pronounce it correctly? Okay. Jake, myself, and Drew.
And Marlene?
And Marlena, sorry. Oh, and Tara.
No.
Oh, you're moving for Marlena? Okay, no to Tara. Okay. Sure, and just know that we can do this like virtually to get it started. The ad hoc meetings can be done virtually. These ones that can't be. First name is Leah. Okay, the next chairperson comment is that we have some chair vacancies. So unfortunately, Dustin had to step down from being chair. He's still a member of the committee, but he is no longer able to take on being chair of the budget committee. And we still do not have anyone to chair the resource fair / event. So I need people to consider that. Yes?
So last time I told Kara I would do the resource
Oh,
fair
Okay.
with a co.
Then Stacy is looking for a co.
Just because time-wise,
Yes.
I don't want to let anyone down, so I'd rather have some work. We'll see the chat. Okay. I know Patty's on the chat where Tara and I said we would both share the treasure.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Do that, and I
The treasure.
I said at the meeting that if Casey needed help, I would be willing to help her.
Partners for Success that they co-chair, so between the three of us, we can co-chair, but I will help you.
Yeah.
if we get.
If you want to partner in crime to divide up the do this, I will partner in crime.
Okay.
okay, so,
I would maybe just need Elizabeth Means emails and then I'll reach out to them and get something started.
okay. But you're comfortable being the chair and then having helpers?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then Tara and Jennifer will co-chair.
Just do the money, I'm gonna do
We're gonna
whatever.
spend them.
Okay. Okay.
She likes to spend.
I have done, but I'll pay for it.
Okay.
You need to be ready for it.
She was gonna give me information to kind of start.
We need,
Okay.
I'll get together, you show me the paperwork, try it out.
Okay.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Back to the ad hoc student group, if I can share some information really quick with that with regards to exposure.
Sure.
Just today, FCPS students dispersed Maryland General Assembly pages, and it was posted on the media blasts. One of the students, Sophia Driver, who is at Frederick High School, is a legislative affairs co-coordinator for the Frederick County Association of Student Councils. And I did some digging into the Frederick County Association of Student Councils, and they can often have as much as 5 individuals that are people at large or students at large. And I'm thinking a good representative voice that could be a part of the Frederick County Association of Student Councils could be a representative for special education. So Jake, I printed out my big printer. I printed out this documentation as well as just to pass on the information.
Which one?
This,
This one is for,
That's something different.
yeah, this is different.
Okay. 'Cause I'm like,
We already did.
I know, so true.
So what was the document that you gave to Jake?
This is, I can't read this fast.
I think this is information about the council.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not school-based,
Mhm.
it's actually Frederick County-based for the students that are in student government, in which they have like 5, everything's starting in the state line right now. Student law at large.
Okay.
Laura, was there like a due date for the five?
Oh, this is done for this year. But
So
they have the
reaching
current-
out to them?
Yeah, reaching out to
Okay.
them, maybe getting more information about it, see what they're looking for in the 5 members at large. But one of their missions, part of their mission statement is to say that they want diverse voices from each of the states represented.
So there is not any meeting in December for CCAC. However, for the student ad hoc voice group, is there energy around doing a virtual meeting at some point in December? Okay, so would you like me to throw out a few dates through Google Chat? Or do we want to try to nail something down now?
I don't think I could give you a date tonight.
Okay. How about we send some things, some possible dates to the folks that said yes, and then we'll try to find, when the majority of people can do that, and we can make that a Google Meet. Okay. Okay. Next agenda item is the approval of the October 30th notes. So is everyone, I know that new members may not have had the chance to review them. Are there any things that we needed to adjust, fix? I think that they look good. Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion. All in favor? Okay, so next up, we have our subcommittee updates. So we will start with Marlena and membership.
So we met a couple weeks ago. We had, at that time, we had 5 vacancies. We were able to fill them with 4 new parent members. 3 of them are here today, welcome. We have 1 parent member who accepted but isn't here. Our other vacancies were staff members. So right now, I'm on my 3rd alternate, so they're either declining or just not responding, or maybe people just won't like me. But we have, and the fortunate thing is that we had lots of staff applicants and lots of parent applicants, so that's something that we figured out. They did change the guidelines, so if you don't get someone to your free by December, that vacancy is they will go through the application process next week. We will, maybe meet again to discuss, to start planning for the next membership application, which is starting very, very soon. And then one thing that we wanted to talk about, should we talk about voting now, or is that on the agenda? To see if we can get.
Another student member.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up
I
in,
think it's on the agenda, I'll be.
I think, Jay can bring it up in the student member comments.
Sure.
We just need to keep working with it.
Did you say 1 staff member?
Yes, we have one.
One.
So Brooke accepted, but she had already had a commitment this evening on her calendar before I reached out to her. Brooke Schmidt.
She's not as parent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we still
But
have a
there's
parent
still-
vacancy, there's still one, no one has accepted it yet.
And there were no other student members to fill the one student vacancy, no other applicants. Meg is not here this evening for the communication publicity. Did she,
Yes,
I think she said she was gonna have you share out, Jake.
Yeah, so she just gave me a summary of our main points. This was stuff that I do as well, but I'm co-chair, so I'll say it now. We're gonna just maintain and update the website as well as our social medias. I'll run CCAC's Instagram and Facebook, and they will handle the Twitter or X. And we're gonna focus Instagram towards students, Facebook towards families, and X towards teachers. Website, obviously, anyone wants to use it. We're also doing a Google form for you guys to submit ideas for resources on the website. So, I mean, it's not up yet, but if you all have any ideas, feel free to put them in the Google chat or send them to me directly. And outside of, online stuff, posters for the IEP rooms and teachers' lounges, hallways of schools, with info and QR code there, just like little posters. And that's pretty much it. We're meeting again in early December, so like a week or two. I can't remember the exact date, but I'll have more updates for you guys at that time.
Another question, when you're talking about the posters, is that making CCAC awareness, or does that have anything to do with what I had brought up in Google Chat? A la election type, getting CCAC members to come.
To your point, Laura, I don't see why we couldn't do both. In terms of general CCAC awareness.
I thought it did too, but I wasn't sure if it was split two different. Or just ignore it.
We could probably fit it all on one poster. Yeah, that's all I have.
Is the web page a separate website or the CCAC section on the FCPS website?
No, it's a separate.
It's live. Was live.
Yeah,
It's live.
Yeah, the website's a little confusing.
yes, it's very, which is
that's-
something we're going.
Yeah, okay, okay, it's a little.
Absolutely,
confusing,
yes.
Okay.
Is it linked through what FCPS website, or how do you?
It should be based through the, this. I don't know how I get to it every time, but if I'm not it.
I just type in CCAC FCPS and it takes me right to the FCPS page for Special Education Citizens Advisory, and then you can click further on some other things.
I was just like wondering if I went to a special ed page, like a person who was CCAP existed, but was doing special ed, would it be there that I find it?
That's what you do.
I don't see it on the FCPS app, so it should be added. We're allowed.
It's under special education here in resources, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point, the website was blocked. So we got that.
Oh.
I believe they used it too.
It should be another thing that goes.
It's Frederick County MDCCAC.com.
So there's not a link from our
It's
CCAP
not only
being within FCPS, to the external website. Troy, can you say
Where?
that again?
It's Frederick County MDCCAC.com. Yeah, I did.
Can you guys put a link to the external page?
Yeah, we definitely can. I thought at one point, but it's, I don't know, this, like, how long has Nate had this up?
Probably.
It's been a while.
Oh. I don't know.
It's
I don't even know what exists. Yeah. I always go to the CPAC stuff on the site. Yeah, there could be a link, I think, from like the CPAC page and then from the Partners for Success page. That would be good. Should be on there. Valentine's Day.
We're gonna work on the.
We have to. All right, please.
There are one more.
Okay, is that all for communication, publicity?
Yes.
Okay, Kira could not, Kira said that Partners for Success was going to share information about the Nutcracker. She texted me and said she was going to ask you. Okay. It says, I'm sending some info.
I have nothing to do with Tucker. She asked me to share it, but I'm waiting for a flyer to share.
Okay,
So once I get that, I will put it out on the newsletter on Facebook. I know first.
okay.
I'm just waiting on that.
Gonna text her. But we'll move right along. Troy, I'm probably gonna need your help with the budget part because I think that you helped to do something when Dustin said that he needed to step down and I said,
Yes, we just submitted the interim report.
okay,
So we gave your updated membership and we got that. Last year you all didn't have your budget, except the only thing we didn't spend down was the money for the buddies program. To get set up for the school. I think it was, you all wanted to touch Roy, or they don't have a program at the time, so that money was set back. $300. So now I'm sending an email to Jen, Sarah in a minute, so that they can get what the budget is for this year, and they can start working on it and get an amendment in if they want to. Yes, by February, because it usually takes longer. I mean, that your budget is approved and
We have a current approval that we can start spending while we're getting the amendment.
correct.
If we need to. But we need to give them like a full spending plan of what we can talk about. We
Yeah.
can show them.
Yeah, when you get it, you'll have a detail, the budget detail of where it was, most of it's dedicated to the resource fair, that's usually where you all spent the money in the past. So if you're gonna know that you use that and like pay for the custodian like you have to do at Rock Creek, that stuff you wouldn't have to worry, you could spend.
Yeah.
But the other stuff, if you need to move money around, you can't spend it.
And if they're like, right, English, you can share, that tells us like things that we have to get creative about how to purchase the grant.
$2,500 isn't gonna take you that far, so you're not really too.
But I'm before like, you can't spend money, you're like, you can't buy that item, you have to prove this, blah, 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 to be like creative. And we have a lot of those different things.
Well, I mean, all grants have restrictions, but with $2,500, you are already at a cap where you can't buy something, like to your point, like, if I wanted to go buy a $10,000 thing, I would have to get quotes. You don't have to worry about $2,500.
Okay, cool.
And just so everybody knows, the budget is made the year before and approved, which is why we almost always need an amendment, because something changes, program doesn't happen, then we have money, we have to reallocate, so always typically have to discuss it and submit an amendment.
Troy, can you repeat that part about the Best Buddies $300? I remember it differently.
So for whatever reason, when the final money came back, it did not get moved over. It could not get moved over to, I think it was Touch Program.
It never got sent, was my understanding.
Correct.
From the meetings that I attended.
And then there was further communication, and this was, me remember secondhand through Linda, is that their Touch Board doesn't even have a program.
They do, and they're very active.
So
They go to the
that-
Polar Bear Plunge every year, yeah,
That means
they
yes.
exist. And they were expecting, it was my understanding from the meetings that I attended, that the money never got sent, and that was gonna be rectified this year.
So that's, The only thing I can remember is that if that's the case, that you would have to use your 2,500 from this year.
But we didn't petition, we moved 300 to next year.
Because the grant ends on September 30th of every year.
And I
And
don't
then your
remember
money
when.
starts up. So unfortunately, if you don't expense it out before then, it can't move.
I mean, it might have been last, but I don't know.
I can go back to the change where, I don't know if it was
Because I remember-
Dustin or.
I remember that being discussed, that we had to get them the money, because we promised it, it never got sent.
Yeah, I have the emails, I can go back if you want it for the record, but unfortunately, I just know when I had to submit the report, that money was not taken care of in time. I know that Dustin and Jessica Claypool, our business manager, had back and forth trying to work on that. It didn't pan out. This was months ago.
That's what I think.
Okay, old business.
Maybe.
Okay, so this has been business that we've discussed at multiple meetings over. It's a recurring issue that continues to come up. At the last meeting, there was a discussion about starting an ad hoc committee regarding cameras in the classroom and people that would possibly want to be on that. But there wasn't been any energy about specific people wanting to be, like somebody saying, hey, yes, let's start on this date or time. If you've been following the Google chat, you will see that Laura has shared with us a lot of research that she has done on the topic because we said that we needed more information. We wanted to be informed. At the last meeting, we did not feel comfortable with holding a blind vote regarding cameras in the classroom, and if that is something that CCAC wants to support in terms of, is that something all membership wants to support? What are the numbers? And we discussed doing a blind vote because we did not feel that everybody might be comfortable saying what their vote is in front of the larger group of people here. So our main person to spearhead this is unfortunately not here tonight. So do we want to, one, postpone the vote, or do we want to hold the vote and I text him and ask him what his vote is?
And are we voting to have it ad hoc, or are we voting to just?
Well, first, we're gonna see where the energy is. I put those out of order when I did them, but there was talk about wanting to have an ad hoc group.
Yeah.
And then as the conversation kind of went in different directions, it was, okay, but first, is that actually something that the whole committee supports? Or is it just something that some members of the committee support?
If we vote on this, and whatever, we say yes, nay, or nay. If we say, yes, we support it, what does that mean? Are we trying to then go to the board and speak? Like, what does that mean if we all come together and say, yes, we're in support? Would it just be on like our website? Would it be, how does that transfer into? Like,
That's an excellent question.
I want to discuss it just because
No,
we're
it is.
having
It's
a
a good
vote,
que-
do
it
we
is.
not have a vote? Do we, unless I think we're asked to speak, I mean, are we ever asked to speak on it, or maybe, I don't know.
Well, I know Dustin speaks on it.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Well, there
And so
was,
we would want to have him behind and say, I'm going to speak on it, we're going to be as part of CCAC, and all of CCAC agrees, and that way we can support him.
I think some of the discussion from the last meeting was going into the November 8th CCAC report to the board on whether support for cameras in particular classrooms would be a full CCAC recommendation or kind of the lesser hot topics as something discussed but not a full recommendation. So I think the silent vote or the would be on Would it be on whether it is a full CCAC recommendation?
How it's worded.
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends, we don't usually discuss the year before prior, right? Until we have a resource, until we have, our thing, our meeting.
Presentation.
Oh, yeah. The meeting where we talk about all of the recommendations, recommendations, right? So would it take place at that point when we are making the decisions? We've already presented ours for this year.
We did, and it was something that was discussed, and the way that it was worded was, that it's one of the issues that CCAC has been talking about for the 3 years that I've been on the committee, and I'm sure well before that.
Dawn, is there, okay, so we have an ad hoc committee on student voices. And
We're going to, yes.
And like this is, we didn't have to vote as a board, we were all 100% behind that. Could we just have a committee that's exploring cameras in the classrooms, the facts, what we know, what we can learn, know about all the other things, and can coordinate with like Troy and Katie about what they know, so that that committee could come back and then say, these are the facts that we have gathered based on what Troy and Katie got from the audit, we work with staff, based on what they can research throughout the country and the state and the COMAR that's drafted. And also it would give the committee could look, I don't know why they couldn't, they could solicit feedback from interested parties, parents, teachers, blah, 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 and then come back and share with CCAC, say, as a large group, this is the facts that we found, these are the opinions we were given, share with that, and then it would be appropriate for us to vote, where do we stand as CCAC in terms of, do we want to support the mission of cameras in the classroom in terms of we're behind it, we think it would be good following these guidelines, so on and so forth. So there's official stands after we're all seeing it with the same information.
So like have a committee, bring the information forward for that committee's research, bring it to the whole group, and then the whole group decides at that time, I guess, if we want to include it in as a formal recommendation.
But also just allow all of us to have the same knowledge base when we talk about it.
I think that one of the things that we talked about was the turnover, the people that leave, the replacing, and so that's why feels like it's a new conversation every year, because there is turnover on the committee.
Isn't there an aspect of union representation with the contract and HR all that would have to be?
Oh, that's in the
Big
research.
research.
I mean,
That is one of the points that
I
comes
know
up.
research wide it is, like with the topic of it, but I'm saying like locally, I think that would have to be. Looking at you guys.
Yeah, that has been brought up.
It does and it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the bigger picture is trying to put my dust in down. The bigger picture that we're all seeing is there's push and there's COMAR and there's stuff coming our way about this. And eventually, somebody somewhere in Maryland's gonna pull the trigger. And so I also putting my hear David talking about this hat and other people talking about this hat. Are we as a group going to get behind it proactively, or are we going to be working to react to it when it comes down? And having a voice as those representing our constituents and special education and SEPS, why not find out what everybody has to say, and then there would be a place to, as members change, here's the facts that we know as of this date. This is the feedback from our constituents. Here are the facts in terms of what's happening in Maryland and other states. And that can then be shared over and over and over again to bridge the gap. So like when Angie starts, or when we share with her, here's some feedback about hot topics. This is what you're going to want to look over. So when this comes up, you won't feel like you're in the room and have absolutely no knowledge about the prior conversations. Like, I think a committee on the hot topic like that sounds smart.
Is there an urgency to having this conversation now? Is there legislation that's coming that we're trying to have? Like, what is driving the now have this conversation? I guess the continuation of the last 3 years.
The continuation, it can take, it most recently took over 30 minutes of one of our CCAC meetings. So there is a lot of energy regarding it, and I'm not against an ad hoc committee. I do not want to be a part of that committee though, because I can't pull myself any thinner than I already am.
Well, and
So other people would need to step up.
the other piece would be depending on what your proposal would be with the budget implications. So the board, if you're going to be a part of next year's budget. Not super expensive, but it's still every penny counts right now. There's gonna be a tight budget this year. Well, I mean, compared to some things, I mean, when we had to do fiscal things in the past, because it has come before, legislation, every county is always asked, and we've done the crunch, the number crunching, it's in like 100,000, like 200,000 to do cameras. So, it could be more depending on. Relative, yeah.
I guess the reason I brought it up and asked that way is that there's no reason not to have a committee that investigates it, and then when hot topics come up about it, that committee can talk about it and present to us instead of all of us putting the large group time. Just like Jen and I are gonna find ways to spend money and say, this is how we'll spend the money, everybody good, let's roll. Like, we can do the same kind of thing with ad hoc committees to gain information and knowledge base for the larger group.
Was this Dustin's, we wanted, was you this?
Yes. Yes.
I know the table's able to.
I guess we'll need to table that.
If you say anything about if you wanted to be on it, and run it,
I can't imagine that he wouldn't. I can't.
I don't know the situation this evening, but.
Well, it would have to come back around in January since we don't have a December meeting. Table of.
If we're willing to text them for a vote about it, would we be willing to text them and say if they created an ad hoc, would you be the chair or co-chair or someone? So we wouldn't have to wait till January. I feel like I sat all last year and this came up constantly and.
But nobody's gonna get anything done over Christmas, like this is gonna be a very busy time.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm making a general assumption, but I had new Christmas planned already, so.
I didn't do it interesting, just so we could say we're gonna establish it to like keep moving forward.
We've already set a precedent before because of COVID to do a, second.
I don't know, just, I feel like.
And ad hoc committees don't have to meet in person.
Right. But do we need a motion to have an ad hoc? Is that what-
I think we need people, a group of people, just how we quickly were able to identify people that wanted to be part of student voice, people that would want to be part of this as well.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm texting Dustin now. Okay, so is there anyone that would be interested in being on the ad hoc committee for cameras in the classroom? Lena, raise your hand. David, raised his hand. I'm sorry, I'll remember to mention. Dorothea raised her hand. Jennifer. Dustin has read my text.
John has his hand up.
John. Okay.
Come on.
What? Are you in on it? I have a thing that I wanna do, but I haven't even talked about it.
She's saving it in parent comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, come on, I did 77 pages worth of things and. Another thing.
Dustin says yes, please, and thank you. I'll ask him if he wants to be the chair.
All right, put me on it.
Okay, oh, Lord.
I think you did one.
Laura. Okay. Can you put in the notes that
Oh,
we're
yeah,
not
great.
going
Line
to the
numbers.
line vote?
Thank you.
Okay, so, I'm waiting for him to respond to if he wants to be the chair or not, but I'm assuming it'll be something like those of us that are on the student voice are going to do. Someone will coordinate some dates and times, and then you all will meet. I'll let you know if he says yes to being the chair once he answers me. Okay, the next item was the sensory rooms for expressions programs and other programs. The issue was brought up that not every program has a sensory room. And so first I'll ask if there's any updates about that from either of the directors. I believe that was also an issue that Dustin had brought forward because in one of the newer, does it sound right, newer programs, there isn't one.
They have sensory materials. One of the things that we talked with the specialized program, project, but also getting it pieced together is moving forward, having an idea of what should be in every building. But in many situations, the sensory room is customized based on student needs. So, but one of the things that we discussed with moving forward as we open up programs is what would we start with?
For the programs that don't have like a dedicated separate space, is there an area with resources within the room? So if you have a child that needs that sensory to reset, to stimulate, or whatever, they can go and have that space with someone who can walk them through specific sensory exercises.
Yeah, it's twofold because in general, some of our programs, just we know that that's good for our students. So we have those throughout many of our, pretty much all of them. At the North Frederick, they have a space. They don't have a room, but they're working on actually setting up a room in their new program. But with our OTs and PTs, they'll help them. And so we might end up buying individual equipment just for certain students. And then we have, items available for students to test out and see, does it help out with their, sensory needs? Something that would benefit moving forward, or putting it in our IEP. Katie and I approve a lot of ADA requests because if it's in their IEP and a child moves, regardless of being in a program, they have access to those sensory equipment needs.
Do you wish they had a separate room, or?
I think some people's conceptualization of what you should have, we hear a lot. I mean, like you should have a room, and then what we've had OTs, be able to work with, just make sure that it happens somehow. And like there's even, if you go into some of our elementary programs, they even put things in the hallway. Input.
The hallway pass, the full switcher happens in the area that you go to. That's really popular.
So with space being such a hot commodity, people are just learning to become creative. And the major thing is making sure that we're providing access to the equipment wherever it's needed.
I would think, just a question again, I'm sorry. Having it in the space for programs that are within the school, so it's in that program space, also keeps them in the environment with their peers, and there's less of, oh, we're taking the child into a separate room with only one adult, instead of having two adults, or it's not safe to take multiple kids at a time. I know that was a large problem. I had a student there, because they're a great sensory room, it was awesome, there's a big circuit in it, but if there wasn't enough staff, or the kids that it wasn't safe to take alone, sometimes send them helpful sensory training.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it in the classrooms that you've been working better.
Yeah, so that's how North Frederick is set up. We purchase partitions, so that the idea is that also that if there is any kind of behavior that we're not reinforcing a state behavior either. Yeah. Just finding all different solutions.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the ad hoc cameras in the classroom. Dustin is asking that somebody else chair that group. So out of the people that volunteered to be a part of it, is there anyone that would be willing to chair that ad hoc?
Not yet.
No, you said cameras in the classrooms, or just?
No, the cameras in the classroom one.
Let's see, Marlena, David, Dorothea, me, Jen, John Chandler, Dustin, and Laura. I can't.
I'm curious. How do you do it?
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a big topic in our house. Thank you. I wish I had more capacity because I'm doing everything. Welcome, Christine. I have a comment about your, since I opened my big mouth in Jefferson. My thinking about having a committee, and this is a project, is that having, as you say, a nugget that you refer to that's a literal thing. Everybody, well, not everybody, but you know, a lot of people are really emotional and amorphous ways of describing what they think is important. And it's not that it's not in the head real and clear, but it's a really hard thing to talk about in a literal sense. I think this is really important to have a nugget of something you can anchor and get back to kind of ground people in conversation. Fact-based. Right, will help people when they get emotional about it. And before it gets put into corporate speak, you know, just something that's, it can be written in paragraphs and so I like this idea a lot.
Just to add to that, when we're talking about it, it is a tough topic. I think part of the battle is safety versus remediation. And so I think that's going to be key when you gather the facts. I think the argument, one, for some people it's that safety aspect, you need to know we can be able to keep children safe. But on the other side of it is somebody watching you constantly, waiting for you to say, you know, I think that there needs to be that clear divide. To go with that.
Where I started in the research that I've done is I have analyzed the states that are already, it's law, and it's Texas, Georgia,
West Virginia.
and West Virginia. They are the three main people. They've had it enacted since, I have all my work here, but that's where I started to base the foundation, and the reality is that the fee bullies is black and white. Plus they've had experience, plus they have their documented rules, they have the work with the unions, they have finances, they have everything laid out. So these three states already have a plan. Then there's the other states for which legislation fails, and they're still trying to continue to push it. At our last meeting, Jennifer Bingham had talked about, I think, Missouri was, am I right? Okay, Missouri. And I had actually shared on Google Chat what's going on with Missouri, and Missouri didn't vote. But I'd be interested to hear any
We don't, but next time that Sarah will get updates and bring up, but I believe she was gonna meet with somebody.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's happened in her schedule, but.
But that's where I started. The foundational facts removed from the motion of the legalese and the experiences of each state that already has established.
I think a lot of the emotion comes from not knowing where things like that stand. It's just hard to absorb all the rules and potential rules, or it's just hard to absorb. So if someone's already emotional about it, they don't have an anchored comments to stand. I think that's.
I agree.
And I'm looking forward to reading all 77 pages.
to the section for new business. And these are items that we had to postpone from the last agenda to carry over, so I want to make sure that we can get through them today. So first, comments from student members.
I talk a lot, so Drew, if you want to say anything, you're first.
Sure. So in regards to student members, I think first off, we need more participation from students. Just two is not going to speak on the, I don't know how many kids are in CPS, but we all have different thoughts. I think bringing that together is really important. The way I found this, this council is, well, I found it on Find Out First. Not many people have access to Find Out First or these resources. So I think you have to also look into how can we send this out to all the students so that we have equal representation from all the schools, from different backgrounds. So I think that's very important. I think that's something you guys have been talking about on the communication.
Like the sky. Okay, so, yes, to Laura, regarding what you gave me at the beginning of this meeting, what I now know is the Small Advisory Council. I just finished texting Brooke, and she is going to give me a little bit more of an in-depth explanation to what this is a little bit later. It's my impression that I can't apply for it this year. So that will probably be something I'll go to senior year, my senior year.
Or just spread the word. I mean, definitely apply it. I'm not shooting that down. I support 100%. But also spread the word around because there's only other high schools out there. So
yeah,
hopefully you'll still stay with us. So.
Yeah, that was another thing. Basically all of the student activism that I've seen from CCAC, myself and Drew, has all been from Urbana. So that's not ideal. But even at like the board meeting, like Marlena brought it up a whole bunch because I knew a bunch of the kids that were there making comment for FCAS. Almost all of them were from Urbana, so if we can get more student activism across the county, because Urbana's doing great, but the rest of them are kind of there. So
How did you guys find out?
Find Out First, I think, is the only way I got it.
my principal told me about it.
Do you think that's what it is? Like, when you guys are hearing from staff, like the staff are sending you guys Find Out First versus maybe others? And then I have a staff member who does because I had no idea about feedback. I just randomly sort of ran across a flyer sitting on a wall somewhere that no one mentioned. So I know that's something that like communication talks about, like staff outreach. So then like me as a guidance counselor, I can say, hey, you're really active, you have a really good voice, maybe you should join a committee or as a principal or even if half the teachers, if they do, they can share it with our students. And then like getting the social media going, that says kids don't care about Find Out First, but they care about TikTok and Instagram and like the fun stuff.
And thinking you had to express some kind of interest in this area, right? And yeah, and I'm thinking like you've been a part of all the age groups and school-based and not school-based. And then I'm also thinking of my own child's experience. And I feel like in the elementary school, they do such a good job, at least in her experience, and in the elementary schools that I've worked in, of matching students up, to buddy them, to make friends, to commingle them. And then as she's in high school now, not at Urbana. And as it's more segregated, I don't feel like she has the opportunities to be buddies or friends or to interact unless she joins the sports, one of the unified sporting events. And I think that could be a barrier to it, to having more kids involved or knowing that this kind of advocacy exists at the high school level, possibly. And I'm just speaking on her high school.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Best buddies is something I don't think Urbana has. We don't. So that was actually something I was looking to maybe start in the next semester or so, and I've got a whole bunch of things going on, so I can't guarantee that that's something that's gonna happen. And I can't speak for the rest of the schools in Bergen County, because I don't go there, but, I know that's something that Megan and I, and the other members of communications and publicity really wanted to work on in terms of communication, not to just the, parents and families and community members, which is great, but students as well is an area where I think we are lacking the most.
My area, my feeder area is Walkersville. Help you with that, and there's multiple programs in the high school, as well as I serve Rock Creek as well. And there's a huge opportunity obviously there. And then my daughter goes to Middletown. There's a huge opportunity there as well. That she speaks up as an advocate and has gone to school since preschool with many, many children in that area. And was a buddy in high school, and then went to in primary school with PE, and then that was her fifth grade job, I forget what she called it, but like she went to, wasn't Expressions then, but, every morning and every afternoon she went to, what was it called? Challenges. And it was just a really great experience for her. So, and I know somebody at Urbana that would love to be a buddy. So I will do it. But I'm willing to help you reach out to multiple high schools.
Sorry, what is that timeline? Because I know that we need to fill in the vacancy before December. Is that including the student member as well?
It's January that's in the bylaws.
Yeah.
And then after that, we don't fill any vacancies
Okay.
for any of the positions.
So you need one more. Is that?
We ran out of applicants for students because there were a bunch from Urbana. And, of course, as we realized that one person wasn't going to come, other students had already committed themselves to other things on Mondays. So while we had a surplus of parent and community members and staff members, we did not have a surplus of student applicants.
Two things. So Urbana, ex-Urbana, alumni, not ex. So I found out that we were there, and I'm pretty sure at the time they sent weekly announcements, always posted in there. I'm not too sure how much the students read that information, but it seems like the principal there or the school system is doing something that's helping to encourage or maybe trickling down to different people. So do principals get together and have any type of regular meetings? I don't know how that works. Out from the different school systems? They follow. The community care, when all the principals get together. Because that may be one of the topics is to share how are we, here's feedback, how are we getting our students involved in the different areas? And maybe where Urbana is, whoever's in charge of Urbana, you kind of pull them in and help them work together on schools, as well as the students kind of promoting as well. So I think it's a joint effort. If the school systems are putting stuff out that nobody reads, of course that's not going to be helpful, but if you're pushing at it enough, that people could accidentally stumble upon it, or you can maybe share it out to other people. I'm just wondering what that looks like from student to student, principal to principal, and then whoever's responsible for those ongoing messages that go out to
There could be a forum for flex at times, when you incorporate clubs, you could create something there. But I don't want to take too much time on this, but I have a lot of ideas that I could give you just based off the way high school is designed.
I'll share this thing in my monthly letter. And date the end of January. Well, the membership committee would have to review the application if we
She
found.
just sent me the application.
Oh,
Sorry, I mean, I can post it and see, just get it out there, but.
Yeah, well, we can control it, we can do it, it doesn't sound like students would want to go, we can do a find out first.
You can also put it in like the month or the weekly season. Just for teachers to be aware.
We don't have that.
It's just special.
Well,
You know what?
what Jim forwards on is what we're seeing. So we could put it in an administrator wrap up. Then they would have to advertise however they advertise to their students.
I know, I just found, because I just found this out, that I can't share so much about school. He pulled up this thing, and his principal puts like on their like school bulletin board, I guess it's like a landing page that comes when they open. And the principal puts like each day, puts like messages out about things that are going, changes in the schedule. Would that be a place for administrative, like at the high school level, do you guys get that when you open school?
Yeah, so like.
Is that something you guys look at to go, oh, schedule's different today, or?
I know I do, not every student does.
Well, I mean, like, well, like, I'm thinking that's how my kid had works, that's his like routine, maybe
Yeah.
other kids were trying to turn it, they have a routine where they would kind of.
Yeah, that's something that would be really easy. for us, the students.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a way to message specific out to principals, can you put this on your school page?
Like, well, Megan, maybe it just sounds like it's like a lot.
I could talk to my principal, but I'm not sure.
It's really easy to communicate with. Yeah. I think with also, communicating with, the principals, I think we should also mention that we're looking for students and make it clear that what's the student's role, because I think when I was looking at the find out first, when I first initially applied, I was confused if I even could apply, right? I think in there, I think they said students in one point, so then I applied, but I think if we focus on specifically students and explain this is their role, this is how they would be able to work with each other, I think then we could be able to get more students. So just making the communication a little bit clearer.
So you can have something like a separate application.
I think that could also work, but I think when we send it out, I think it should be specific to students, making that communication, that part clear. Like a description. Yeah, like a clear description.
Now, this is what we need to vote on, so like, when we want to read about teaching just for students, so that when we send out that find out for that school message, that whatever principals, like we're gonna say, specifically those student members that see that, consider your responsibility to, there's like a qualifier, so like a targeted message for students, after that's the only type of thing.
Is there anything against, sorry, 1 minute, is there anything against, I mean, I would do it probably anyway, but if I do it and then you ask for forgiveness later, motto to live by. But what I was about to say is, we create this application. I then email what are there, 12 high schools in Frederick County? 9? Okay. 10? Okay. Well, it's not that high of a number. I'm in Montgomery County where it's much higher. I just directly email it to the principals and say, when you do your morning announcements, because, I get Dr. Dillman's every day, multiple ways from Leavenworth. Can you advertise this? I mean, they have no problem advertising sports. So, and I love sports, don't get me wrong, but sometimes there's just too much energy put to the sport. So.
I mean, however you will, there's so many different ways I don't know the best way to get information to students.
I'll blast them
We can
out.
definitely get information to principals.
Send me the
then
application, I'll
principal's
blast them out.
responsibility to get
Well,
it out.
I don't know, also more, like, it's suggested for school would be absolutely, like, I get 12 school would be messages.
Or can they post it on their school's website?
On the website,
Or
or.
website, send it to us, or you bulletin or whatever.
Would you be able to also translate the application to Spanish for some of the other high schools that have a higher Hispanic population, like with
We can do that.
And
They
if I
send
know.
it to us, we'll have Gavin take care
I mean, that is, the application is online, it's on Google, and then at least all my students know, they just push a button and like.
Yeah,
they
translate.
Stories of one French, you want to do English,
We can do English side by side.
and then obviously whatever message.
Marlene, are you gonna make a school-specific student application, and then I'm gonna send it out?
I mean, I don't think we need to update the application with a specific message that goes with that.
Okay.
That way, like, the application we're on the same.
The beginning of our application, this says specifically.
Yeah.
Your student learning.
Yeah, I think the issue too, right, is that we just in the past, anytime we've advertised on LP Path, it's just we're looking for members. And it says it, but it's not like you're looking specifically for students.
Okay.
So if you all want to just send an email to all the high school principals, that could be one option. And put it in, if you guys get the messaging to Katie and I by Thursday, we can put it in the wrap up to principals and specifically target high school.
Okay. And that's what we'll do. We're gonna send the application to Katie and Troy, and they're gonna send it out for the principals wrap up, that they do at the end of the week. And then the principals will have that information to either put in their morning announcements, put on their school's webpage, however we word it to give to them.
I never been here, like, never been here before, don't really know what the committee was about. Is this the student, was like the student openings, like, being this is new, has it been since you guys started? Because you can reach out to past members, 'cause if you don't know, you didn't know as a student if you could apply or not, how are other students know what this is about? Just like as parents, and just like as you reach out to a business and you go and find like, I mean, you base your not, like, you go and see reviews, you're like, oh, I like this, I don't like what this business is about. How are students supposed to know what this is about? What they're about to get into? Maybe reaching out to past student members and see what they actually took out from being part of this committee, is like what is going to drive other people to actually be like be part of this. It's really hard when you don't know what you're going to get into. So.
Well, our two student members here are the first student members that we've had since I've been on the committee. Last year, there were no student members. The year before, there was one, and she left that, I think she attended one meeting, and
We've always had applications.
Yes.
We've always accepted, and we've not had a consistent student member since the year Patty and I started. That was the last time there was a consistent one that came to every member.
So there's never been a consistent student.
So 5 or 6 years ago, we've done on the first one. It's hard to love it.
So like, yeah, we made that our purchase last year at a gift student. And the two students we have so far are rocking it. We hope to have more of them. Because, the student voice is the most important thing, like, we know that the high school thing, they're the ones in the classroom, they're the ones receiving services. So as a teacher, I have a feeling, as a parent, you have a feeling, but they're the ones that actually have to deal with it.
the other thing is maybe we could ask Brooke, wouldn't she have an account? Like, does she have something that she can put out?
Yeah. She
But
has
she's
a
like,
small Instagram.
okay, that's what I mean, yes, small Instagram.
I can just text her and say, put this on her Instagram.
She's a student member of the board.
But people voted for her at some point to be that, as she clearly pointed out, when she presented that same night. So, yeah, what is in the water at Urbana? I mean, seriously.
She actually lost the Urbana. And, one like a bunch of the other students.
Well,
But,
because
no,
she may be
Urbana
so.
loves her as well. So.
Okay, so next is parent parent member comments, and these are actually carryover. And what I do is I ask on the Google chat what people would like to see in the agenda. So these were sent to me, and because they were back from October, I don't necessarily remember. I know the last bullet, who said that one, but the other two, I honestly can't remember who those had come from because I received those like in early October. So if the parent member that shared those would like to speak to what it is that you wanted to ask or know more about, the first bullet was seclusion and restraint policy revisions and updates. Okay, Kara, okay. Are there any updates?
No, I mean, our policy was approved, our regulation was approved by the DOJ.
Okay.
The policy set forth, it still is in alignment with MSD's changes as well. So, for those that are not familiar, non-publics now have a process that, well, actually any school, if you have a student that has more than 10 restraints, you have to have a MSD action plan. We haven't had that happen here in SDPS since that has gone through, but we do have students attending non-publics, unfortunately, that every time they get those 10 restraints or even seclusions, non-public can do, they have to have a meeting, and then they have to then submit it to the state for that, and then in some situations, we may have to consider other options for those students that they can have high levels of restraint and seclusion, and that may not be the program for them.
Question about that. So when it's getting close to the 10, is there consideration of looking at being proactive with the action planning versus getting it to the 9 or 10?
So some of the ones that we've dealt with that are Frederick County students, some of them, yes, we've had Matt Bosler, supervisor behavior analyst, discuss. We've either sent RVs out there, or they've begun to discuss what may be happening. Do they need different training? Is this the right placement? Is it not working for the student? And so I haven't had many, but there are a number that have gone beyond 10 this year.
The next bullet was transition planning post-high school. I don't remember who. Was that anyone sitting at the table?
So I actually brought that up to you, but I'm considered staff, even though I'm also a parent, so I don't know if that's. But the reason I brought it up is because it seems like I'm the program assistant at Tuscarora. I also have a 21-year-old who's going to be graduating this year. And it just seems like the post-high school transition, the services that are offered, parents don't seem to understand. And I know we send out the transition book for every IEP meeting, and we talk about agency linkages, and I'm just wondering if there's some, and it's huge. I don't know if anyone has a student that is post-high school that is accessing DDA and all those other things. It's a lot to keep straight, and I just wonder if there's something else we can do for parents to kind of get them to understand. I mean, I was in an IEP meeting today where the parents were talking about that they don't, what's the next step? And they're already connected with DDA, and they were still like, well, dad is concerned about what's gonna happen when we don't have school anymore. And so I, from my little desk taking notes, said, that's where DDA comes in. They're gonna set up your child's day from the beginning to the end, and this, that, and the other thing. And mom was like, well, I don't want that much time. And, well, this is something you need to talk to your, I just feel like parents need more. I feel like by the time they get to 18, 20, 21, they're tired. And they, all those other things that you don't see coming are there.
So Rachel had her hand up, Stacy had her hand up, and Kim had her hand up.
So I actually work for service coordination. And we try to get families to start talking about that even towards the end of middle school, beginning of high school, because there is so much between that 18 and 21 years. DDA doesn't do anything for you.
Okay, I meant, that's what I meant. I meant the service
The service
coordinator,
coordinator, yes.
which we have a very wonderful one, like,
Right.
you know, for our family
That's
that
wonderful.
we've been talking to. but-
Yeah, and so that is an issue, because I have some people that are now out of school or in the process of leaving school. And I have a hard time getting involved in the IEP meetings. I want to join them, I want to get to know them. Your service coordinator should be part of the IEP.
We invite, if we, like at Tuscarora,
Yeah.
if we know a family has, it usually comes from the family saying, please invite, but I automatically add them to the invitation.
Yeah.
We had one today.
Yeah, some don't pick at it. But we're, and granted, service coordination is just one.
Yeah, there's
four of them.
Yeah,
four of them primarily.
Okay.
But we want you to reach out to us and get on that waiting list for DDA, because there's gonna be, IEP meetings and transition meetings, and what is gonna be the most meaningful day once your child leaves school? Like, are they leaving at 18 because then DDA has that gap year between 18 and 21? Or there's a lot. I know Corby would, maybe she and I can work together on giving information
It's a
to
brainstorming,
Yeah.
like, is there something, because I know for me it was hard, and then and we have a good, we've been connected since Zach was 14. So,
You're fortunate. Yeah.
right, but I see other people who are not, who probably have a greater, and, like you're behind the 8 ball, but, that was just my thought, is there something more we can do?
Because it's not necessarily the transition from elementary to middle to high school. It's that transition where, oh my God, what do I do with my child every day?
Right. And when they're in school, the supports are there.
Right.
When they're
When
done, they're not, then you really have to find something. That was my thought.
There's a community provider school issue, that's going on, at least for Oklahoma County, is what I can speak for. And so it's getting the providers, people who provide those supports into the school system and working with the school and the children, the students, to help them learn what's those next steps. And so right now it's a hands-off, they're ours until you're out of the school system, and then they're yours. But at that point in time, there's that cliff that families kind of follow on, well, once you get into school system.
And we try really hard to team up with the school team, so early enough, so we know your child. Like, we get to know them, what their wants are, what your wants are, what the parents' wants are. The teachers feel their strengths. And it does, it becomes a partnership, and we're the circle of support for those families.
So I just want to interject here. We did a DDA workshop, and we can definitely go for one again if parents want more information. But like you said, you're kind of behind the ball at that point, so we need to get younger parents knowing about DDA. But we can definitely do it for those parents that still know. But you guys kind of read my mind, because I have some money to spend for transition documents, that being from infants and toddlers to SCPS, that being the age of 14, and that being 18 plus. So I have a flyer. I want your guys' input on what some of the topics of those documents should be. I'm thinking kind of like a basic, this is what happens during each transition, what to expect, blah, blah, blah. One for students to hand out, one for parents. But your opinions, of course, a bunch of people in here with different ideas. So I'm going to pass this around. Please put your ideas on there. I need to spend that money, and I want to make it worthwhile, right? I want to target those. I'm not used to having a partner. We want to target those, topics, those big topics. So.
And Rachel, I can suggest if you're gonna do like a transition night, include all the agencies.
Yeah, I think we are attending a transition council tomorrow with the ARC. And I think they're having another transition fair in April. Don't quote me on it. So that's something that we can.
Because George does amazing things too, and a lot of people don't even know all the things that they do.
And we can start doing like short little webinars and stuff like that. You just gotta communicate, what you want, and we can start pushing it out and making that happen.
I will just share that we've tried to help train a lot of the upcoming teachers who are actually doing presentations on a lot of the different community providers. We'll be presenting tomorrow for the mountain coming student teachers who are in our CPS system. So we do try to give them a taste of each agency what they have to offer, so they can come to share that with students and families. So, that's only one, small area, but we think that the community members, we do try to reach out and you can offer that information because there is a different there is multiple diverse groups here in Frederick County that can offer so many different services. And we all like to working a lot together. I mean, I work a lot with D&D and with Rachel and with board, we all kind of have a lot of different services.
So everybody just looked at Tori really weird when we walked in, but Maryland just created a series of parent information series books, and these are really fantastic. And since you're talking about secondary, one of them focuses on transition, and if you turn to Appendix A on page 24, it's by year. So age 14 to 15, you need to be considering these things. So that's a great resource to pull out to guide families. So, happy early holiday.
Kim, I think you also want to share that.
One of the things for bullets on the staff is exactly what I want to invite you guys to. We're having a transition fair at TJ High School. I'm one of the staff representatives of CCAC, and my name is Kim Edwards. I'm a Governor Thomas Johnson High School. I teach for the new members in the PASS program. We prepare able and talented students, which is the expressions of learning for life in the unique program at the high school level. And on December 7th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. in our cafeteria, we are holding a Life After High School transition fair. We'll have 18 different agencies there, Doors, YMCA, The Arch, Parents Place of Maryland, Best Buddies of Maryland. If Jake, you want to talk to somebody, we just started our Best Buddies of Maryland program this year, so there's going to be someone there talking about that. Spectrum Support, Scott Key Center, Partners for Success. I'll put this invitation onto our Google chat so that everyone has access to it. And if you'd like to register, I'll put the link in there for you to register for it. So we would love to invite you to come on December 7th and 6th. So we'll get to meet some representatives of 18 different organizations right there at TJ High in the
Can I add one thing to what you were saying? I'm on the board of a nonprofit that works on independent living solutions for adults with developmental disabilities without intellectual disabilities. I want to follow up with. And that is one of the reasons I put in my applications for this committee, is because we've raised one child in our family. Now we have another 5-year-old going on 6-year-old going through the same system, special ed system. And what I'm doing with our nonprofit, the name is Kitsune, that's a lifelong thing. And I've got this other experience, and I want to start bringing together my understanding, because I've got a lot of understanding of EDA. I call it EDA cascade, and going through services and all that. EDA, Doors, all of that. There's a way to bring things together. And anyway, I'm just saying, that's another ad hoc committee for another day. I'm in enough trouble. But I hear what I have a lot to say about that topic.
Did everyone get a transition booklet? Thank you, Troy. Very seasoned. Okay, so the next parent comment was regarding school refusal of students with disabilities working on collaborative solutions.
That's mine. I'll try to be as brief as I can. Author Thomas S.D. wrote, "Higher chronic absenteeism threatens academic recovery from COVID-19 pandemic." This article was written August 10th, 2023, and was edited October 22nd, 23. From Dee's abstract, the broad and substantial educational harm caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has motivated large federal, state, and local investments in academic recovery. However, the success of these efforts depends in part on students' regular school attendance. Using newly collected data, I show that the rate of chronic absenteeism among U.S. public school students grew substantially as students returned to in-person instruction, specifically between the 2018-19 and 21-22 school years. The share of students chronically absent grew by 13.5 percentage points, a 91% increase that implies an additional 6.5 million students are now chronically absent. State-level increases in chronic absenteeism are positively associated with the prevalence of school closures during the 2021 school year. However, these increases do not appear to be associated with enrollment loss. COVID-19 case rates, school masking policies, or declines in youth mental health. This evidence indicates that the barriers to learning implied by the sharp increase in chronic absenteeism merit further scrutiny and policy responses. School refusal is a nationwide issue and it's at an all-time high, and watching a child, especially my own, experience it leaves me feeling helpless. So in January, I intend to bring a broader discussion to the committee regarding chronic absenteeism, student school refusal, mental health, FCPS supports, and parent experience. And I also have a question and a request for you guys, please. FCPS is able to provide instructional services to public school students who are unable to participate in their school of enrollment due to a physical or emotional condition through COMAR insert number, administration of home and hospital teaching for students. I did some independent research, and out of 23 Maryland counties, 2 counties do not have easy access for HHT information, either via Google search or on the websites. And unfortunately, one of those 2 is us. There is no easily accessible link area description on FCPS's website for HHT. The Google search led to FCPS homeschooling, then a link to an updated HHT application displaying the address apps.fcps.org/forms. After drilling down several steps, the applications for HHT are there, but to get to them was an adventure. So please give Home and Hospital Teaching a dedicated page or fully complete with embedded links for easy access and detailed process information. For example, mental health related requests, applications, and physical health shooting. Please.
Getting back to the student services director right now.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I am a home hospital teacher, and like the amount of students that we have on our roster right now compared to what you think is how we need it, it's just like probably no, I mean, I can even do like intermittent, so like if it is a mental health issue, we would need to every day of school. I mean, this particular week is a really rough week for you, like there are services, just when we need it. So that you see instruction and then just having to go back and kind of make all that up. But I agree. There's anything out there. I don't know how you get it now. Like, is it, I think it's the PPWs.
It's initiated through the PPWs. They have the paperwork.
Yeah, it's not offered. Sometimes if your kid's refusing for behavioral stuff that's not really obvious to the school, it's not something that the school itself offers.
That's what they're talking about next year.
If there's some attendance issue, it's talked about.
Yeah, but even then, not necessarily.
I can just say on the special ed side, we still have a lot of conversation with our student services friends about HHD. A little bit different than.
But I think sometimes your kids are coming, so they're behind, your kids are coming. Sometimes it's hard to get the people around the table to understand. Whatever my kid wants to be here, the big thing with school is usually there's like, the number one reason it happens to kids who are having behavioral health issues, they feel unsafe. Whether that's there's a bully at school, or that teacher triggers my trauma and they don't know how to say it. So it's getting as a parent down to the base of that, and then figuring out how to explain that to the school. And sometimes there's this big land of attendance, because it's important. And that's where the school identifies the problem. And the research that happens at home can be really hard and really delicate, and can take weeks to figure out. And I don't know, sometimes when you're sitting around that table and it comes up in the IEP that your kid has an attendance problem, they often think it's, I don't know that everyone on the table remembers there's a delicate balance at home when investigating what's keeping their kids from school, because you gotta keep them safe and keep them feeling good, so they share with you what's going on. And depending on what your child is struggling with, especially with behavioral health related, or they have a disability, it can make it really hard for them to articulate other than, my stomach hurts, I don't want to do it. I recently, I had this at table go, there's an issue, I'm trying to figure it out, but he's like, it's not coming out. Give me some grace, what can we do? And you know, my issue is minimal, but the push from school can be very heavy when the attendance or the chronic weakness happens. And like you said, like, that knowledge, sometimes I think our educators are so worried about getting them to school. Sometimes it's reminding them the main reason they don't come to school is there has to be something making you feel unsafe. And when I brought that up in the IEP, the whole room was like, oh, because they think sometimes, well, they just don't want to come. They just don't want to work. They just don't want to be here. You know, they're just going to excuses. But research fact-based, that's the main reason there's an underlying. And that was really good eye-opening for, like our IEP meeting, I was just not my son. And they were like, oh, wow, we didn't know that. What can we do to overcome it? How can we help you investigate? And the tables turned completely, which was awesome to see. But I don't know how much educators are thinking about that when they're in that room, because I have to always look at that side of things for my son, because he doesn't.
So coming January to his year in year one.
Okay, that brings us to community members. I think this was you, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think Jen, being less you guys are going to talk about, but then I have a couple others.
Okay.
So the interventions that we're currently using for dysgraphia. Okay. So currently we do have for dysgraphia, we did have a therapist trained on their graphology last year, and then this year we have our department chair got trained in September. So we're going to continue to expand that out. And then we of course are pushing out visualizing, verbalizing them. Lexia. And then we have done Maryland Centers for numbers.
So at the end of the training sessions, they'll have at least 2 special education positions at every elementary school. 1 special educator for every middle elementary school. So our dates tentatively elementary cohort to be in March. That will be cohort training 1.
I'm sorry, we are having a really hard time hearing.
I can't hear you at all down here. So Maryland Stecker training is rolling out in March. So we're going to have 2 special educators from every elementary school be trained, and at least 1 special educator from every middle school. Secondary cohort will start March 6th, and then elementary cohort will start around March 18th. So you're looking around that time frame.
What is Maryland? What is that? Is that a program?
No, it's the math one from ASDEC. She's the math specialist. She makes it very multi-sensory. It's not a program, so it's more of an instruction, right? Like letters, like she has foundational instruction in math and how to teach it hands-on. multi-sensory. And pedagogies. I don't know that you teachers that have. I don't know how to teach teachers got trained in paragraphology, which is a writing program for kids with dysgraphia. When you were done. They don't have to go numbers, it just.
How would you know if your child is receiving, or that their personal history intervention with them in their language arts classroom was trained in paragraphology?
Well, they would be able to tell you, but I mean, paragraphology is not evidence-based yet, so it hasn't been not widespread.
Like my kid with dyslexia and dysgraphia and language arts, these people all kinds of Christianity, all kinds of weird eyed people. Could I just speak to his case manager to find out who has training in that could maybe advise how they're doing work with them when it comes to writing?
Last year was mostly, when we offered it, when it was offered last year, most of our teacher specialists went. So then they provided some of the training on cases where there was dysgraphia issues and they have other ideas and, the written expression programming that they were trying out wasn't working. But it is being expanded out this year to our department chairs. So all of our department chairs have now been trained. So that's one more person in the building that has access to those.
So far, it's just, it's wherever they could find out who it is in the building that might be able to help her. Because I know she's personally with them a lot in language arts. It'd be great.
Chairs are great. We could have a meeting in December and there's gonna be another follow-up on paragraphology.
Are like case managers or special ed, case managers or teachers trained in it, or is it on that? Like my special ed case manager who's also a co-teacher and does push-in services, not necessarily the chair of special ed, or we just look at language arts chairs or?
Right now, it's the special education department.
Okay, that, I know
Well,
that.
it comes together and they get specific training. And then
Okay.
Yeah, I was just a couple of things. I went to Howard County a couple months ago, and just for food for thought, we've talked a little bit about this before. Their meetings are open, they're open to anybody and everybody. Everybody is welcome to the table, everybody is welcome to join the conversation. If there's no specific, public comment time, everybody, they do it at different schools, and they vary the school every month, and they also have a topic. So it is a more concentrated, meeting towards a certain concept, topic. It could be the seclusion thing, it could be health and hospital, whatever, it could be cameras. So you would choose, kind of like what your topics were for each of the meetings. I know that we have a lot going on with DOJ, so it's harder for us to kind of centralize what we are doing because we have a lot of other things to discuss. Stuff you wouldn't do all the other pieces, you would just have kind of one focus. Unified sports is going into bocce, and so if you have a high school student and you want to do sport, I encourage them to do unified sports. And then the last thing is, and I say this respectfully, I think we have a hard time staying on the topic, and I kind of be run over, and I know we're all passionate about, so I don't ever want to feel, I don't want to disrespect anybody either, but I feel this, and we don't know a lot about it because we either run over or we miss sometimes POV comments or director's comments, so if there is any way we could respectfully keep someone on our time, our timeline, I think that would help us all feel like we've gotten through. Like,
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think I've run it once before, but I have no problem setting a timer, and the timer is what it goes by, and when the timer goes off, it's done. Okay, staffing updates, and I think some of this was on the Google chat exchange that occurred regarding the number of special educators that are contracted to provide virtual services as opposed to face-to-face. And so I don't know if everyone saw the dialogue where Troy was explaining, but if you just want to touch base on those numbers for anyone who was not able to follow along on the Google chat.
Sure.
Thank
So
you.
high level overview is that we, in lieu of in-person vacancies, we have hired virtual contractors this school year. We had very few. We had a handful at the elementary. That's mostly where they're at. We've had some at middle school. As soon as we find an in-person individual, that is the good thing about a contractor is we let them know that they're no longer needed, and we end the contract with them. But that was, they're not providing services, they're doing case management. So they're learning how to utilize the OIEP system, and they're helping out the rest of the special education teachers actually do the paperwork portion of the IEP. And then, of course, here in Frederick County, 3rd grade all the way through high school, we do offer virtual services. And so we have special education teachers at all of those grade levels.
Yeah, it was my question in the beginning, and it was, I was told by a special ed teacher in Frederick County that she had, one of her special ed teachers was a virtual teacher, and he lived in Baltimore, so he never came into the school. She had to meet with him so that she could tell him what he needed to do, but he really wasn't doing anything. He wasn't providing support for, because she was told that he had to help with testing and had to help with the IEPs, and she wasn't getting anything from it. And I, as a member of CCAC, as a taxpayer, I really got upset that, and I wanted to know how many of those kind of virtual people we had, because I know that there's a whole virtual school, but it had nothing to do with that. It was just people in this kind of scenario that were hired to work in school and but did everything virtually.
That we have one contractor we recently let go. Because the job performance wasn't.
How good was that one?
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to asking as staff members. Kim, I think you already said about the fair, but you have been waiting for a while to share this information.
Yeah, I wrote this letter back in October, but I was able to attend November's meeting, and it's a group of the staff at TJ High School who were very grateful in knowing that CCAC in the past has helped advocate and support and give us a lot of the resources we have, including my 11 position. So we were very grateful for that. And because CCAC has been so good at that, we were coming and we had 3 recommendations we wanted to bring to the board to ask for your advocacy. 1, identify and initiate at least 1 more expressions program at the high school level. Of course, it's budgetary, so I know it's for the math, so I'm saying okay. 2, extend teaching positions in the program to 12 months or limited to ensure that we have teachers to cover ESY programs that will minimize the recruitment needed for summer school teachers, which was a big deal last year and a little bit of a struggle. 3, increase the number of staff to student ratio for our high intensity students. For example, when I wrote this letter, the numbers have changed today. There are 10 out of 40 students in our PATS program that require 1-to-1 staff to assist in toileting needs. 3 of those 10 require 2 staff every time they have to go to the bathroom. When a teacher in the program is absent, no one responds to our front line for a substitute. It can often be difficult to even get a substitute for our assistants. So through this last couple of weeks with colds and stuff, we had 8 staff absent, and we rise to the occasion, we do what we can. But that can lend students to be very vulnerable when we get that short of staff. It can be difficult. In order to maintain the safety of all students and staff, more adults need for students who have high intense needs, and especially on toilet and bathroom. And we are a high school, And we have students now coming to us and with more children, 14, 15 years old. And when you have one or two here or there, but now with such a large number, it really impacts our program. So we want to make sure, and as I'm talking, I go to a class, legally different IEPs, and I'm having conversations with other colleagues who are at the elementary, middle school level, and they're sharing with me some of the needs of the students who are coming up. And we're like, it's like, okay, we gotta be ready. But knowing that we're having students who are really coming to the high school and looking at, are we ready to support them? Do we have the proper number of staff? And that's the kind of questions that we would have as staff at the high school level to know who's coming to us. We've got a large number of students this year that we have a student who came to tour with us today, who will start tomorrow, who has never been taught in school and is 17 years old. So, a darling, but we're like, whoo, it's a good night's sleep tonight, so to be ready tomorrow. So that's what's happening, and we're the only expressions program. And our program is unique, we mix and teach learning for life and expressions for students together. That's what I was asking for support. We just need to get some more information, I guess only Devon Central could tell us the answer to some of these questions. I've looked at things like the budget over the next, that's from Dr. Dyson. I was looking at the report from the recommendations but it's just so much information. And I really have to go make sure that it's at TJ. So I'm thinking I would love to have a group who could look at this for me and with me and to make some specific concrete recommendations to the board on how to help the county be ready for students who have cognitive needs as they come through. So that's what I want to see from it.
Just we're working on staffing. CCAP will be a part of that staffing work group to evaluate staffing across the board. So hopefully we'll have some information. That group should form this year and start doing their studies.
With a major understanding that it would not happen.
Oh, we knew this would be.
I remember last year our recommendations, I know expansion of programs was on there. Was expression one of the programs we were looking at these high school expressions? Was that something that was a target in what we submitted last year? Because I know that happened in the budget that we gave.
So when we do projections, we look at the number of students. One, we would love to have, as a director, would love to have programs everywhere because some schools never have programs, and then when they get programs, they don't really know how to adjust them. And so that's something that I would love to get to that place where we have a true inclusive environment that kids get to stay in their own school to the maximum extent possible. But that is something that since I've been here, we have TJ Middle that has, they're the only middle school that has expressions, and then TJ High. We have Learning for Life in every high school. The numbers that, it's really based on the number of students. So the number of classrooms could move elsewhere, that's an option. Because we don't have growing students. Where the students are growing at a phenomenal rate, that Katie and I can attest to is elementary. We're going to be opening up, we have no choice but to open up more expressions programs next year for elementary. We're going to need more pre-K classrooms. I think we talked about there's some size capacity concerns for middle school Learning for Life. But most of our high school program, besides her point of potentially adding more staff, the ratio is still, on average, it's 10 students per classroom with a 3 paraprofessionals and a full-time teacher.
We have 2 minutes left. So does anyone want to make a motion to extend the meeting for 10 minutes?
I want to hear what the director says, so.
Okay, if you are not able to stay, that is fine. Who seconds the motion? All in favor? You need to leave this, feel free. Just so you all know, I do have to leave at 8:10, because I have to pick somebody up at 8:30.
Just really quick, there are 5 booklets, the parent series that MSDE has made. One about understanding the IEP process, this is our alternate education framework, the special ed process, your rights to your procedural safeguards, the IEP process, and secondary planning, in addition to the alternate education framework. So feel free to take them if you want. They're also in our director's comments via PDF.
Partners for Success, you were next on the comments.
But that's why we're putting them out.
Sure.
I think you had a question about.
How do you forecast the demand?
So pre-K is really a huge indicator about where our students are at pre-K, but then we look at our 56 population, so that helps determine what kiddos might be. We also always try to leave buffer for reciprocal kids that will be moving into the district. And so, knowing that, then that kind of gives an idea, like, so if I'm losing 15 fifth graders, that opens up 15 slots for that class.
Partners for Success says that we can skip over them, so that takes us to you, David.
Yes. 2 things, I think. On Wednesday, there's the virtual budget forum, and I think there could be real impact by CPAC members attending and speaking about your priorities. More people probably attend in person in February at TJ High School, but I was texting with my board colleagues, and there was a good reminder that this is early enough in the process that you can still affect the superintendent's recommended budget even at this point. And so it really is good to attend. So Wednesday, 6 p.m., it's virtual. You'll see it on the website. I'm sure Find Out First has gone out or will go out, and there'll be public comment opportunities for you to speak about what you want to see in the budget for next year. I know, and then briefly, I do want to say, I announced at the last board meeting that, this will be my last year serving on the board. I'm not running for reelection, and despite it being 801, I did want to say that here because I really do hope that people will step up to run, particularly people who have strong connection to the special education community. And the filing deadline is February 9th, so it's more or less around the corner. And so if you have questions about serving on the board, please reach out to me. I'm really hoping folks with special education connections will run.
Directors.
So we have the booklets. We're in a with them. We only got separate, so we wanted to make sure that you guys had first dibs on them because for some reason, MSC did send them to us, so that was nice that they printed those. But they only printed 100 of a piece. And then we did the only presentation that you all have missed since last CCAP is the November 8th one, and that was DOJ updates on our story services. We have, since then, we've completed a lot more cases. There are many more families and students that have had their story services completed. Every time a case is closed out, we do send out surveys just to understand, to be able to touch base with parents to see their response. And, if we need to reach back out to them. Our project managers still continue to tackle all of our compensatory services as it relates to the Department of Justice Settlement Agreement. And then in regard to our audit updates, I'm going to take this, Katie, I think this was where we had our survey feedback.
So this was a combination of feedback from, we did an FCTA work group, we brought this plan to CCAC. And this is the number of respondents that did the QR code that was on the back. So you had 72% elementary, the rest there. 23% were actually CPS students, interestingly enough. 15% were staff, 58% parent guardians, and 4% community members. So I was really happy to see 23% of students. I think that's something to celebrate. you look at the favorability of each one, and that's by percent. So they're all around that 70 to 80 mark. You have specialized program being 81% favorable, and the rest are within the 70s. So nothing really like stood out besides specialized program. Good. And then these two documents continue to be linked and uploaded, and that's a crosswalk and an implementation plan as to where we are with PCG's recommendations. That's this document on the right. And this is how the PCG recommendations connect to the Blue Ribbon Task Force, CPAC, and UTJ. We also did a crosswalk with the blueprint because that's up and coming as well as we continue to add that. So we have another document that crosswalks it with the blueprint. So that was the last board presentation. In the chat, I put a link to the electronic parental update booklets because you can get them in multiple languages. So on the website, it translates them to 20 different languages. So if you wanted to send that to a variety of different people, that has a different feature available. Are there any questions about the crosswalk and implementation for the Student Support Action Plan survey that was received?
The next time that we have an update on our audit, we have included the update to your latest recommendations. Sorry, an additional crosswalk. Sorry. Getting hard.
And then the last thing to highlight is coming up, and that's going to be December 4th through 8th, and that's Inclusive Schools Week. So there's a guide that was sent to all the school principals, and the theme for this year is Draw Me In. So they have different activities that they can do. The Spirit Week is associated with this, and it is Inclusivity Week for all, not just students.
And at the Wednesday board meeting, we will have a proclamation read.
And speaking of the Schoology board that you were speaking of, that was announced at least at Middletown High School. Because
there was a guidebook that put together.
Yeah, like the whole thing.
Monday is Hat Day, Tuesday is Tie-Dye Tuesday, Wednesday is Wacky Wednesday, Thursday is Be Comfortable, Be You Day, and then Friday is School Colors, School Spirits.
When do you think you'll be getting those updates by January? So that more thing?
The audit where you said that you're going to provide us with the updates for things that we have recommended.
So the next presentation, which will be, like, look on our board calendar, when we present at the next board meeting, it will have the updated crosswalk that includes your 2024 recommendations. So you'll be able to pull that down from Word document, I'll give you the date.
Thank you.
Did you want to just share anything about, okay. You're still doing the Nutcracker, right? And the movie?
Nutcracker's
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
It really is a good show. If you have a child and you have students with disabilities, it's a great show to go to because it's a real condensed version of the Nutcracker. And several of the students who are performing it have disabilities also. And it's just the most awesome thing to do. I'm taking my grandkids.
Once I get that flyer, I can send it out, put it in the chat.
Yeah, sure. So quickly, action items. So my action item is I will reach out to those that are interested in the Student Voice Committee to decide a date and time that we will meet virtually. Are you able to, once you have everybody's notes, to reach out and do the same?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Were there any other action items? Okay, the next meeting is January 29th here in the boardroom. Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Sorry, guys, I gotta go.
Who seconded it?
Not eight of us. Like,